I was saying, just like when we were chatting now, there's a vulnerability that you have when you are under the barber's clippers, right? That's just like, I trust you. So you guys starting a podcast while cutting someone's hair is like, you better be honest. Don't you feel that? Like, there's no way to be dishonest.
Yeah, with a guy with a razor on your neck.
Yeah,
and
he's
you're
got
like,
the.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's been an incredible journey, man.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. Just thank God. It's, yeah. Yeah, you know, like if you still get excited in the morning to get to do what you do, like Mesh, you know, I was sharing with you and I was saying that yesterday I went away and I was with my son. Just spent some time like because he wanted to have like this whole tent experience and he wanted to be in a forest. He wanted to be surrounded by animals. So we went away and we just had this father and son connection that was truly amazing. And I think that reminded me actually the importance of that unity that we continue to build as father and son. And whilst doing this, I got realization is that, you know, I mean, today I could have easily said, you know what, I'm tired. I had so much activity yesterday, hiking, mountain climbing, doing all of these things. But still today I got up and I got up with zeal and eager to say, I'm excited to come to work today. There's so many things happening. The lives that we continue to impact through what we do. I mean, that is why we're here. And that's the reason what just keeps me going beyond just building Legends Barbershop. And it's something I look forward to.
Sure. You know, in preparing for this, I watched so many of your interviews and just like conversations, and all the time you're talking about impact. What does that mean to you? But also, you know, you guys are at 70 stores, 620 employees. Legends Barber is a household name.
Yeah.
What does impact mean to you? But also, how do you go through that journey, man?
Yes. Wow. You know, when I started Legends, I always thought that this journey would be something I would be able to escape the poverty of having to go through the day-to-day and just thinking way back to time when I was a kid, when both my parents were working and they were in a position where all the conversations that was in the household was about money. Like, complain about money, and as a kid you listen to this and you try to figure out exactly how are you able to come up with these solutions, how are you able to think beyond just the current circumstance, because looking back, I never realized how bad it was, and up until you get to a stage and say, you know what, that was bad. The fact that after school or before school, the teacher announced the kids who parents unable to pay school fees must stay behind.
Oh, yeah.
That was embarrassment, but still didn't stick with you to say how broke you were. The fact that you get clothing, but it's always secondhand clothes from somewhere. And I asked my mother, Mom, where did you get this clothing from? And she makes a joke and she said, you know what, I got it from Strataforts. And I'm like, what is Strataforts? Where is Strataforts? Where's the Strataforts? And she took me one day and I went with her and I saw she actually buying clothing on the side of the road. I remember the guy in town. And those were the times where, you know, when you knew exactly that you are living in poverty and you're living on handouts. There's many examples I can share with you, Mesh, that these examples and these scenarios just stick with me. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I never want to actually being able to put the next person or my family in a position where they are they don't have the necessities of worrying about, is there going to be food today? Is there going to be a way that we can survive the day-to-day expenses? And I think for me, that has been the journey of looking at how am I able to solve, not only for myself, but also for the future generation. And then it came to my realization is that if I was going to become this entrepreneur that I was going to become, how am I going to continue to make an impact on the kid that, like Sheldon, is suffering, like Sheldon, whose parents don't have the necessities to being able to give them the things that they need. And I came to realization, I said, okay, I'm in the business of not selling a service or selling products, but I'm in the business of impacting lives. And I wake up each morning and I say that I want to make a difference in somebody's life intentionally. We know the golden rule in the Bible that says that do unto others as you want them to do unto you. And once we continue to live our lives like this and we look for the needs of others, your need will eventually be met. Because many times we are in a selfish mode. How can I gain from this? What's the biggest that I can take out of this? But if we live with open hands and we said, how am I able to bless somebody today? How am I able to make a difference in somebody else's life? How am I able to put a smile on somebody else's life today? Then your life would be a bit different. And I think this translates to the business as well, where I intentionally said that we, each and every time, whatever we do, that we're going to do it to cause a ripple effect on people's lives. And that's what impact means to me.
Sure. You know, in another interview, you mentioned a different verse in the Bible.
Yes.
Colossians 3:23.
Yes.
Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. I think of it as a verse about mastery, doing things fully with the intention of honoring God.
Yes.
How important has this principle been throughout your journey in building this business?
No, thank you. That particular verse, so I might just share with you the context of that verse. So the time when I was learning to cut hair, around 14 years old, I struggled to get the methods right. And I used to visit different barbers in my community, learn from them, and sometimes these guys would chase me away. I'll just return with a bottle of covering as a bribe for my next lesson. Just try to figure out exactly how am I able to get the skill right. And my youth leader back then, who was also a barber, saw me busy trying to do this thing, and I was cutting on some kids there, and I just left the kid just to go with a half haircut because I didn't know much. And he took me to a verse and he says, Sheldon, I just want you just to read this verse. This verse, Colossians 3, verse 23. And I read it at a time, and I'm saying, okay, what does this verse mean to me? Because I'm not understanding why you're actually making me read this verse. And as I read it, and he explained the context of it, and he said that whatever you're doing it as you think you're doing it for your customer, but instead you're doing it for God. And if you're doing it for God, there has to be some level of excellence accompanied with it. Once I was able to understand that, and once I was able to grasp that, the next haircut I had, listen to this smash, I ended up spending 3.5 hours just trying to perfect the haircut.
Because you're saying, no, I'm not just doing this. I'm doing this.
So now I'm trying to perfect this haircut, trying to get the best out of it. And yes, so that verse definitely means that to me. It's doing things with excellence, doing things with the level of ultimate excellence where God actually sees what you're doing because you're doing it for your customer. Your customer is going to leave the chair, and obviously you're going to be satisfied or dissatisfied with with a haircut, and the customer can easily complain about it, and sometimes you lose out on a customer. But if you're doing it for God, I think that stands out more than anything else.
Yeah.
That is something that not only from a barber instance of view, but also how am I able to interact with people? How am I able to build my business? How am I able to treat my customers? How am I able to treat my wife at home? How am I able to actually groom my children? Everything is accompanied with doing it for God because you know that your reward comes from above.
Sure. I was thinking about there's one element of this that is just skill, right? You learning how to cut hair, and you building out training centers for other people to learn how to do the same thing. It goes from skill to you building out a purpose for yourself around it too. What does that mean in how you build differently than someone that might go, I just saw an opportunity, I'm going to act on it as just the entrepreneurial instinct, right?
Yes.
I want to make money. There's an
Yes.
opportunity. Let me find a way. How differently do you build when there's purpose at the center, when you're using your skills to honor God?
No, thank you. It's such a great question. And many of the times people forget that. And I mean, we all start there. As an entrepreneur, you look at what is the need that you currently have and what is a need in a community. So just take you way back how I saw barbering. I never actually saw it as I love this thing so much that I'm going to do it. I saw it as a need, and I recognized this need at the age of 14 years old because I used to visit the barber in my community, and this guy was either he's fully booked or he sometimes didn't show up. Those barbers in the community that don't honor basically the times that they're supposed to be there. And sometimes I get to these barbers and I wait in a line to get my haircut, and this guy decides I've made enough money for the day, I'm out. You understand? And I saw this, and I saw so many disgruntled customers actually leave from there. And that need at that particular moment is so important that you actually identify the need. What's the need that you're trying to solve for? And I think any entrepreneur that's out there, you have to be able to solve for some need of a customer. But then it translates, and then it boils down to understanding exactly that if this need is not met by yourself, is someone else actually doing this? Is somebody else able to introduce this into the market? And what happened to me, just to take you way back, so I started cutting hair on the stoop in Eldorado Park, and from starting to cut hair on the stoop, I then went on to basically partner up with a friend of mine at the time. We opened a shop together in the Eldorado Park, and as we opened the shop, we got youngsters from the community. They were also helping us. We taught them how to cut hair, and we then started doing different things within the community. And whilst going out to the schools, to the old age homes, and at the time there was no name for the barbershop. It was just called the barbershop. But something dawned on me that why don't you name it Legends Barber after the old age home, and name it after the old people at the old age home. And that was something that I said that I'm going to rename the barbershop after them. And when my partner betrayed me in terms of when I came back from honeymoon, I got married and doors were closed, decided that this is not for me anymore. Who am I to think that I can make a career out of cutting hair? So I'm just going to leave this. Whilst leaving this, I then continued to get calls from customers. Call me each and every time. Say, Sheldon, when are you coming back? When are you coming back into the barbering space? And I said, you know what, it's not for me, man. I just don't feel, like I can make money out of anything else. So at the time, I then opened up a panel beater shop because I saw there was money in panel beaters. I then started doing things with my friends, and every single business that I established during that time just failed dismally.
Sure.
Just failed, just went down. And then I then realized that, this particular thing, it's more than just a skill. It boils down to now having that calling on your life that if you don't do it, if you don't accomplish this, no one else will. And I think deep down, all of us have that. There's a calling upon each and every one of our lives that no matter what you do, nothing else will give you satisfaction unless it is a thing that you are called to do. And we've seen it happen in scripture as well, where people would want to not follow the calling that God has called them to do. And they end up finding themselves in situations where you ask yourself, how did I get to this? And now when you follow your calling, when you follow your purpose, that purpose doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter how much you earn. That purpose surpasses all of that because now it's tied in with the lives that you're impacting along this way. So I feel that each and every one of us, there's a reason why you're born right now. There's a reason why in 2025, at this particular moment, that you're doing what you're doing. And if you're able to tap into the thing that God has called you to do, you will find fulfillment.
Sure. A very important key part of like what you've built is relationships, I feel. Partners that you have, the community and building trust with that community, the people that work in the barbershops as well. How do you build really great relationships in order to do good business? But also, how do you protect your reputation as you grow? Things happen all the time. There's 70 stores. You're not going to be at all of them. And you're definitely not there to take care of every single customer, right?
Yes.
What does it take to build meaningful relationships, but also protect your reputation as you grow?
That's such a great question. And if you think about relationships, and relationships tends to be one-sided in affair. And most of the time when we speak about relationships, we think about the connection two people have between one another. And how I actually envision relationships, great relationships to be, is that people often sacrificially themselves up for a cause or for something that they do believe in. And whether it is something that they believe that this person is the right person that I must connect with, and they would do anything in their means to actually add value to that person's life. And relationship is actually the core of our business, because when my unique selling proposition from the beginning, I'm not sure if you know this. So after each and every customer, I never
the notes.
The notes,
Yeah.
yes. So it's to write down the name of the person, the conversation we had. So next time I would engage with Mesh, and I wouldn't necessarily talk about the things that I said, but I would talk about the things that he told me. And he shared with me his experience. He shared with me, Sheldon, you know what, I'm going in for interview, I'm doing this podcast, I'm doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm doing this. So what happens is that if I start engaging with your experiences, then you tend to feel some sort of deep connection with me.
Yeah.
Because now you're like, this person actually took note of each and everything that we spoke about. And once we're able to foster that within not only the customer space, but also in our business, because you're dealing with people. People have emotions. And if you're able to tie in with people's emotions and making them feel special around what they do on a daily basis, giving them the affirmation that they're doing a great job, being able to encourage them, not only being the person that's going to come down with the rod and just give them a hiding when things are going wrong, but also when you see something that they're doing really well, are you able to actually be lavish in making that actually making them aware about it, because I feel like most of the time we tend to forget it. And I mean, like, I've been in a space where just business, and you're just going, and you just whatever it counts. You understand? You want to build more shops. You want to do this. You want to do that. But then you start losing great people, and people start stepping out of your business. Then you have to start doing self-introspection as to what's happening here. Then you start realizing that you are actually at the heart of this, and you need to understand that the same people that you perceive to be like robots is the same people that actually have the emotions, the feelings, the things that actually gets them to tick. And if you can be that person that encourages them on a daily basis, if you can be that person that shows them that appreciation, that shows them that you love them, then they will feel much more fulfilled doing their work. Because if you think about it, if all of us in the business are, I call it drill sergeants, if all of us just think about the work at hand, nobody actually steps aside and say, okay, how is this person actually doing? How's his family at home? How's his wife? How's his kids? This person actually lost his mom. How am I able to contribute? How am I able just to have empathy on this person? To have like a sympathy towards his current condition. And that's where the word love comes in, because now you're showing love towards them. You're showing love towards your employees. And I feel once you're able to lead with love, once you're able to lead like this, then you are actually becoming a servant leader, because now you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the needs of others. You know, in our organization, I often share this. Like for example, I come from a corporate background, and in a corporate background, we have this thing where the
Hierarchy
boss,
of needs.
yes. No, the boss sits here.
Oh, yes, the hierarchy.
Yeah. So the boss sits here, and the boss sits in his corner office, and he shouts down and basically tells people what to do. He tells exactly what they need to achieve. He tells everyone exactly what he wants. And something that I've learned over the course in time is that, you know, in order to be a great leader, let's study exactly who was the great leaders before us. Let's see exactly the examples of people that actually walked this journey. And you know, I go back to scripture and I look at Jesus when he walked the face of this earth, and something that he said so powerful. He said, whoever wants to be a leader must be able to understand the fundamentals of serving, because whoever wants to be first must be able to understand that it has to be last in the packing list. So that means that for me, sitting in the position that I am, I'm fortunate enough to actually ask my team that on a daily basis, I'm sitting at the bottom of the pyramid, and I see this as servant leadership, and asking my team, how am I able to serve you today? How am I able to make your life much more easier? How am I able to advance your life in any way possible, to make even your job better, to make your life better? How am I able to do this? If us as leaders are able to ask these fundamental questions, guess what happens to your organization? It begins to flourish, because now people want to do things because they see you leading with love. And it's something that has struck me some time ago when I said that I want to build an organization that is not for self, but is for others. And that's the reason why, like for example, like tomorrow we're doing so each and every month we do like food parcels, food handouts, you understand? So we go to different communities and we do this. And tomorrow is one of the days where we actually go into the community and we're like, okay, you know what? How are we able to serve? And the families that we will be served is less fortunate families. But demonstrating to my executive team that we have to go on the ground, put everything aside, and let's go serve the people in need, and let's do this. And now you're creating a culture within your organization where it's not about me, but it's about others. It's not about what I want, but it's about how am I able to add value to the next person? How am I able to increase the next person? Your team will leave there feeling much more refreshed, much more, because you know it's like there's a verse that also says, whoever refreshes others, they themselves will be refreshed. So no matter what you might go through, you might face depression, you might feel like down today, but once you put a smile on somebody else's face, it just happens automatically.
Yeah.
Once you're able to solve the need for somebody else, it just happens automatically and you feel fulfilled.
Sure. Just sticking to, just the way you lead, and it takes a lot to go from just you first to 620 employees, right? These are people in businesses that are part of the Legends DNA, right? Without the people, I don't think the business is the same thing.
Yes.
And you have a certain standard of service. You have a certain culture in the way you do things. What does it look like to scale culture from the first employee right up until 620? And, obviously now we know it's going to be thousands in the future across the continent, across the world.
Yeah, it's so crazy that I was sitting with HR last week, and we were doing a whole staff count in total. That in our total staff count is approximately 880.
Sure.
880.
So my 620 is wrong now. I doubted. It's outdated.
No, but if you look at the stores, for example, at the particular stores, we have X amount of people, but we also have back-end staff. We have guys in the training and development academies that's doing amazing work, from our head of training to basically the facilitators, the quality assurance guys that's out there, the managerial staff, the head office staff. So if you're looking at these organizations, it's like when you look back on it, you're really grateful, Stan, that you are able to be in a position to lead these people. And like I said, it's one of those callings that I just felt the urge to embark on. And while you're saying this, that I believe that leadership is a way, if I look at leadership as a type of sport, I look at leadership as a relay race. I look at leadership as me having the baton as a barber, and having just been one particular barber, handing off the baton to the next person. And okay, you're also going to become a barber. We're going to work together, and eventually taking on the role as a supervisor of a store or manager of the store. Now taking the baton and basically leading your team and upskilling them to actually become those leaders, and that they can fulfill your space, and they are able to take on the supervisor manager role. And then you look at how you're able to continue to foster growth within them and through them. Because if you look at the skill, it's easy to monitor skill. It's easy to monitor this person as the skill to cut hair. But it's the investment that you instill with people that sometimes does not look as on the surface, but it's deep down rooted within them. The way you live, the way you lead, the way you treat them, the things that you do. So this business has been built like that from scratch. And each and every person that I walked this journey with, I was able to invest in them, my skill set, my knowledge, and they feel that they are able to do the same to the next generation, to the next person. And now you're creating a culture where you are fostering with inside, where these guys just feel, this is how Legends do it. Legends doesn't copy and paste from what any other organization does. We don't look at what people actually do, because it's easy to take the shortcuts. It's easy to, if you think about it, for barbers, you can get barbers from the community and basically just place them in the store, and wherever community, you just copy and paste these barbers and say, guys, come into my shop and come cut hair. But it's so difficult to invest within the person and say, I am going to train barbers from scratch. They don't need a skill set. All they just need is to have the right attitude for them to embark on this journey. And I'm going to train our leaders from scratch. I'm going to do all of these things. So now you're creating what seemed that it could be something that's going to take time, will actually build such a solid culture in the future, because now you're bulletproofing your business if anything should happen, because now your people are committed to the cause of what you're trying to lead.
Yeah. I think centered to that is building community. I think
Yes.
the ultimate bulletproofing for any business is building deep community within it as well. Right.
Yes.
And how do you keep that local relevance and that community feeling as you scale, right? It's easy to do this when maybe you've got one store and I know if I go to the store, I'm going to see Sheldon.
Yes.
It's going to be a good time.
Yes.
I know him. I know the guys that are in that specific one. But now you've got 70 stores again. Like, how do you still try and keep that local relevance, that connection that people have to the business as part of a community?
Yeah. I think that's so vital. And it comes down to, many years ago, what we used to do, we used to train barbers in Joburg, and we used to send us barbers, and we say, guys, we open a shop in Durban. Don't you want to go work in Durban? And we would relocate them and take them to a space in Durban so they can live and they can be there and they can build from there. I then realized that that was not the right way to do it, because those people don't speak the same language as the locals. They don't reason as the locals. They don't understand and understand basically what it all means. Instead, we remodeled and we said, we are actually going to, even if it's going to take a bit longer, we are going to go into the community and go and train the barber and go train the person that is from that community, and that person gets trained to become a barber and works within our space. See this, we are able to understand that, that customer that we want to serve is able to engage with this person and is able to speak the same language that this person speaks and is able to relate with this person. And that for us was a rude awakening call to understand that we have to unearth local talent, because that is what's going to make this business stable. And not only that, because if you think about it, is that customer that comes into the store must somehow have seen this guy in his community, sitting at home, trying to do something at home. Now, the customer will support this business because they can see the investment that has been done within this person. And now they understand, even if I get a crappy haircut one day, I understand that I'm going to continue to support this business because now I am no longer buying with my pocket, but I'm buying with my heart.
Yeah. It's interesting thinking about just the difference in thinking when you guys expand into different markets. I like that you guys are considering what those markets look like differently from other places that you have, and with growth like that comes different types of challenges, obviously. What are the sort of operations in terms of the way you thought about the business that needed to change when you're trying to change this from a hustle to a business, right? I think there's a massive gap between that. There's a lot of growth and a lot of systems that need to take place. What does that operations thinking look like?
And most entrepreneurs, so how I see the businesses basically. So I see businesses in 4 phases. So these are the 4 phases of any business. Doesn't matter if you're a small business, doesn't matter if you're a large business, if you're starting out, doesn't matter where you are. You either fall in these quadrants. So it's either the infant stage. So the infant stage is basically you starting out, you being the practitioner, you being the person that's doing the work, and you actually sweating to actually make this work. And then you end up going through a stage where, I found it right to actually duplicate it. I found it right to actually open another store. I found it right to actually open in different locations. And now you at this duplication phase where you are able to actually identify opportunities in markets, but now trying to get your systems process in line, trying to build these things where I talk about in terms of being the servant leader and basically scaling with the people that you have and understanding how practical it is for your business to actually grow from the duplication phase, because we all know that the duplication phase takes a lot of work. And at this phase, I think many of entrepreneurs would ask me, Sheldon, you know what, I'm stuck with 1 or 2, 3 stores, and I'm struggling to franchise my business. I say, always tell me, you know what, you're speaking to the right person, because I'm the chairperson of the association, of the Franchise Association of South Africa. And one main thing is that people tend to understand that, you know, that this phase that I'm finding myself in, how am I able to replicate this and franchise it, and people to actually buy into my franchise model. So it's at those phases where entrepreneurs could either decide, you know what, am I going to franchise or am I not going to franchise? And my advice is always that especially for me, I see the pros and cons of franchising, but I also understand what you need to do to actually solid proof when you franchise your business. Franchising is definitely, many people see franchising as the easiest way to make money, but it's not actually the case. If you understand that you putting your brand through in somebody else's hands to actually serve your customer. And we've seen this happen many years ago when we took on the wrong franchises within our space. And we started out and like, you know what, we have everything going. We have our operations manual. We have our guide in terms of how to be a good franchisee. And we would skip the main important process, which is the interview phase of that particular franchise. And sometimes I would just delegate it to someone else. And that phase is so critical, because you need to understand that the person that you're going to let in your business, it's not just an investor, but is this the person that I want to love my customers like I do, to serve my employees like I do, and to be able to contribute to the value of this business. And once you understand that, you are able to clearly identify who your perfect franchise partner will be. So for us in a space where our very first franchise was a guy by the name of Ricky. So just to take you way back, so Ricky approached me and he was like, so we were growing at the time, we had about 8 stores, and Ricky was like, Sheldon, you know what, I want us to be partners, because there's a space that opened down the road from me, and I definitely think that space will be ideal. I said, Ricky, you know what? In all honesty, I've had some bad experiences with partnerships, and it's been something that I don't intend of repeating. And although I love you so much, I mean, I see you as a brother. You've walked this journey with me from my second or third shop. And now I am in this space where I don't want to actually just let go. And then I started doing some due diligence on franchising, and I started doing some homework. And the pros of franchising is that as an entrepreneur or as a franchisee, the franchisee to buy into your business is that they're already buying into something that's already proven. So sometimes I make this example and I say, the other day I actually went to Table Mountain, and I decided to actually go up with the trail, and I decided to go up with this trail. And as I go up with the trail, I actually find there's some rocks, and it's tiring going up the trail. I mean, I spent close to 8 hours just going.
Oh no, I've climbed that same trail. Yes. There was a point though where I was like,
should I turn around?
I don't know why I did this. I was like, no, this is. But it's also like the most rewarding one I've done. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Yes, it's amazing.
And when you get to the top, you just like, there's not that many people that can do that.
Can do that. Yes. And that right there that you explained, that's entrepreneurship. That that way you said when you got to the top, and you're like, you know how difficult it was for me to actually go through this whole experience and understanding exactly how it works, understanding the failures, understanding the challenges, going through all of this to get to the top. And you're like, oh, that's a lot. But guess what? There's a quicker way to get to the top. It's a cable car that takes you 15 minutes to get to the top.
It's a nice, easy ride also.
It's a bit
nice and
easier,
comfortable.
very comfortable.
Do you think of franchising as being that opportunity for people in an entrepreneurial sense to take the cable away instead of the tray?
Of course. And that's so you've built this whole ecosystem and you build this great business, and you've been able to implement and do things within this business. Now, in order for you to get people to buy into your business, you need to understand that they're not going to start something from scratch. They want to build into something that's already working. And if you didn't get that reward of what it is to actually duplicate this phase and replicate it in all your areas, nobody else will actually buy the cable car to come to the top. And that's exactly what franchising is all about, is understanding if I'm not willing to invest and work within my business and make my business a franchise business, who is going to do that? And although it could be the franchise system could be pros and cons for both sides, you need to understand that how you are able to scale your business, because Sheldon is unable to be at all the stores at all the time. I mean, I'm sitting here and things are happening. There's sometimes I don't even get an opportunity to visit store openings. Sometimes I'm not even at all the stores at the same time. And you need people that's buying into your business that says, you know what, I want to be part of this business because of it's a proven model. It works. And if this thing works, I want to be part of it.
There's something you said in a previous interview where you said you guys award a franchise, you don't sell a franchise. And this goes back to some of the thinking you've had around building really meaningful relationships with the people you're working with, and it not just being a transaction. Like, this is deeper. This is important. You need to understand the impact that we started this with, the intention we started this with, and you are now a custodian, a person that needs to be able to add to that vision.
That's true.
How do you choose the right partners? How do you sit across someone when you're interviewing them to say, you know, we have 70 stores, we want to go to 71.
Yeah.
Why is this one person? What makes that person the right person? What do you find is the good values you look for in the right partners?
Yeah. So that's such a great question. And you need to, and when you're sitting across that person, you need to identify the traits of that person. Is this person being able to walk this journey with me? Because if you think of franchise, the relationship between a franchisee and a franchisor, it's a marriage. It's two people coming together to go on a common cause. And that marriage needs to be tied into, is this person willing to make the sacrifices like Sheldon make the sacrifices? So just to say an example with you quickly. So many years ago, this lady came to me and she says, Sheldon, you know what? I managed to basically, Sheldon, I got retired from my job. I managed to save up 800,000 approximately. And I am really keen to get into this franchise business. Obviously, I bring my son to your barbershops every week and I see the queues within the shops. And you know, as a person, I see that it could be a great business. So I said, okay. So based on that whole interaction, and I asked a few questions and I said, okay, just tell me quickly. So who's going to be the person that's going to be managing your shop? She turned around and she said, she's going to do it. She's going to be the person that's going to be working within the shop. And she said, and I asked her, who's going to be, and she started answering these questions. And that's the person that is an owner-operator, that understands exactly that this thing's going to take my time in order for me to build it. And those are the type of people that we want to partner up with. So just listen to the story. So this was back in 2022. So 2022, this happened. And we opened the very first store in Northgate Shopping Center. And as we opened the store, exactly what she said. She was the person that was there serving the customers, sweeping the floors, loving the barber. She was actually there involved on a daily basis. Sometimes I would just do a spot check and just go check exactly what's happening at the store. And she'll be there. She'll be front of house and she'll be serving the people. And the following year, she came in to me and said, Sheldon, I've managed to save up more money. Would you afford me the opportunity to actually open up another store? I was like, okay. Then I asked her the question. It's like, how are you going to manage 2 stores? Now I managed to upskill somebody within the store to actually become the supervisor within the store. And now, doesn't it tick? Is that's exactly what Sheldon used to do, where he upskills people and he invests in people to actually run the store. And then we opened a very second store. This was in Reimsig. So we opened a very second store. The following year, she came again to me and she said, you know what, Sheldon, I have built up this capital. I don't know anything else to do. I don't want to put this in the bank. I want to be able to reinvest it. If I must tell you, in a space of 3 years, Mash, this lady has 5 stores. We actually opened the 5th store. We actually opened the 5th store next month at Clearwater Mall. Our 5th store is being opened at Clearwater Mall. That's the power of a good franchisee. That's the power of somebody that would really want to get their hands dirty and understand how the business works, understand that it's not just about the profit side of the business, but it's about the serving side of the business. If you look at majority of her stores, is always in the top 10 because she is so passionate about this. And there's many examples of these type of franchise within our business that are really passionate about serving people, that are really passionate about making a difference. Their mindset and your mindset is definitely alike because they understand the principle of treating customers good. Because if they understand that if the customer doesn't come back to the shop, it might be a small difference within the short term. I mean, if you think about 1 month, if a customer cuts twice in a month and a customer doesn't come back for twice the following month, that's a $400. But if you work that up into a year and you do the math, and you're like, okay, this is actually a lot of money. That's the power of one customer. So many of our franchises understand that every customer is important. Doesn't matter how small, doesn't matter how big, that each and every person that contributes towards this business is important for this business.
Yeah. And just with that growth, sticking with that conversation around the growth and the quality, right? Like it becomes a very important part of the business of having that quality standard across every single one of them, right? So if I'm in a different location, but I know and trust the brand, I will go to the store because I know and trust I can have the same experience in Eldorado Park versus Sandton versus I've seen one in Alberton as well.
Yes.
Where it's like, I know and trust the brand, so I know and trust the quality.
Yes.
How do you ensure that remains consistent no matter how much you guys grow and no matter how many locations you have?
Yeah, no, I mean, such a vital question, and there's definitely operation procedures that we put in place. There's systems that we manage to do to ensure that the store runs efficiently, the store operates in a way that is great towards this particular area, or the same thing that's done at one area is the same thing that's done at another area. There's certain elements of a store that I can definitely pinpoint and tell you know what, we introduced this, we done that. But it all comes down to people. Because people run the systems. People are able to either make or break the systems. People are the ones that actually makes this whole thing come alive. And I say this humbly because it's 880 people that's in our business is a lot of people. And if they are able to contribute not only to the lives of them like a franchisee, that they understand that this is something that they're building for the future, for their children's children, then the mindset of the short-term profitability of this tends to fade away. that means I'm going to treat everyone the same way I'm going to be treated at all the stores. So no matter where you go to, whether you go to as far as Zambia, for example, because we have a store in Zambia, that you will still be able to have the same experience. And you know, one of the best franchise businesses that that I feel up until this day is still around is McDonald's, and they've managed to replicate this across board. See, McDonald's is a franchise model. Comes down to how are they able to actually have the same thing happen within a certain space and not compromising on their brand. You see, the reason why McDonald's don't go into certain areas because they have an understanding that if I'm going to go into that area and I need to close down shop, it's going to compromise my brand and people are going to say this about my brand. They are so very particular around their brand McDonald's that they're not willing to take any shortcuts. And I think if we're able to take this mentality upon us to say, I am not going to take any shortcuts in running this business because I do understand that well gainer, there's a verse that says in Proverbs that says, well gainer hastily will dwindle. But whoever gathers little by little will become rich. And I think that principle is understanding that you're in it for the long term. That you're not in it for the short term. It's if I'm able to get this what I have and multiply it, but using one principle that says that I am going to build this brand till its fullest, and one day this brand is going to stand like a McDonald's that says, you know what, okay, we are able to do and say certain things within our business that translates towards the bigger audience.
Yeah. And obviously now the expansion is not just how many stores, it's now products.
Yes.
It's now going mobile or
Yes.
going back to mobile. Because there was a point where you were on scooters and then there was a van, you know?
Yes.
So it's products, it's mobile. Can you explain why you're going into these different verticals, but also how it starts to feed into the bigger vision of what you want to build?
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. I think if you're looking at our business and when we started the product business, for us, we were just trying to solve a need, in all honesty. I mean, our very first product was this wave control. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the wave pomade. And that was our very first formulation of product. And I went and I tested it because majority of our customers would ask, how do you make waves? How are you able to get these ripples on your face? You understand? And not everyone had the same hair texture. And we then decided, let us introduce a product that will solve for that problem. And that product actually became our Coca-Cola. That product was such a big hit that it created so much for other products that will follow. And like you know, now we have beard range, we have a hair care range, and basically so many different products that we have within our space right now that it's solving for the different needs of our customers, and especially the needs where the feedback and the data that we get from our customers that's on the ground that says, okay, you know what, I actually need this, I actually need it, I'm actually looking at this, and we collate it and we're like, okay, will this thing actually work? So we go back to the drawing board, give customers to test the product, and they're able to come back and say, you know what, this product actually does it and it works. So I think going into the space, and I always saw it as a space that is overpopulated or a space that has existing brands that's already out there, major brands that's been around for a long time. But are they able to appeal with our consumer, with our customer? Are they able to? Because our customers are still having these issues around them having pimples after they shave. You understand all of these things that's currently taking place. And so now, as we continue to solve for these problems, we then saw that, you know what, it's growing, and it's becoming a hit. And now the retailers start reaching out to us, the Clicks, the Discams, the Spas, all of these retailers. So you know what, guys, people are actually walking into our stores right now and they're asking for your product. They actually want that beard oil, and they are so specific in terms of that. And now we sit in a space where where we becoming a retail business, not only a service business, and now we're solving for the needs of our people. And I think it was really intentional from the beginning to just try and help solve for the needs of our customers, which grew over. I mean, the products has been around for 6 years now, and it's really doing well. I mean, it's really doing well within in the different spaces where we find ourselves, and I think the I would say the vertical integration from services to products to training is not being greedy in a way that not being able to take on anything else, but understanding, okay, if we are able to do it, let's do it. If we're unable to do it, let's not do it. So, so a few years ago, I was approached by, I got a call from, Metro FM. I think it was Metro FM, and they called me and they said, Sheldon, uh, there's this whole thing that was taking place where barbers, no, where customers used to get bumps at the back of their head. You understand? And this thing was going viral, and all ties down to the barber that was cutting hair on the street. And she posed a question to me, and she was like, Sheldon, so should all the customers come to Legends? Thought about it, and I was like, no, not everyone can actually come to Legends. And not everyone has the funds to actually get their haircut at Legends. And that disturbed me for a while. And I was like, okay, what am I able to do in the space? So that was back in 2022, 2023, where this whole concept came in. And I said, I'm actually going to do some work in terms of how I can solve for this problem. And then I then decided to do some research in terms of the clipper business. And I said, okay, this is a very bold, big, hairy, audacious goal that I want to do. But I want to introduce a clipper business that is able to empower that barber that is cutting on the street. And what I want to do, I want to be able to, for every 10 clippers that's been sold, 1 pack is donated to that barber that's cutting on the street. Because if you think about it, Mesh, that barber that's cutting on the street, does that barber have the resources to actually buy that equipment? He doesn't have it.
Yeah.
His main objective, let's say that barber cuts few customers for the day. Let's say he cuts 5 customers for the day. We know the prices is like 10 rand, 15 rand. He makes like a 50, 60 bucks. You think his goal is to use that money and buy new equipment?
No.
His goal is to actually go feed his family at home. And this is what motivated me to actually start this whole business of, and basically we called it a fade company, FXDE. We called it a fade company, and our main objective is to empower local barbers and to ensure that these local barbers have the necessary tools for them to actually serve their customers, and for them to actually being able to do things that professional barbers do. So each and every week, Mesh, this is what I do. I go out every week. I go visit these barbers, wherever they might be, whether they're in the street, whether they have a small shop, wherever these barbers might be, because our sales of our clippers is really doing well now, thank God. But every week, Sheldon finds it a need to go to these barbers, and not only to give them the equipment. So we go and we give them equipment. They're really excited about the equipment. Many of them ask me the question is like, Sheldon, how did you do it? How were you able to actually do this business thing? Because some of them have been cutting hair for over 10, 20 years. But I can't get out of where I am right now. I'm still struggling. How were you able to achieve it? And I share these words of wisdom with them, and I share advice with them. And basically, I share inspiration with them to say that, you know what, if I can do it, you can also do it. If I can be able to grow Legends to what it is today, it is also possible for you to do this. And I inspire hope within them, because if you think about it, the journey seems to be bleak up until somebody comes into your life and says, you know what, I believe in you. I'm able to walk this journey with you. And not only am I giving you this equipment, but I'm able to actually give you the words of wisdom, give you the encouragement that you need for when you go and I leave here, that you remember these words, that it is possible.
Mm.
And I think that for me has given me the greatest joy yet, because I look forward to that. I look forward to visiting these barbers, just making a difference within their lives. So whether, to your question, looking at the vertical integration, I think it all happened by solving for different needs. And I think God gives you something where it's like, okay, Sheldon, now you build a product business. Now I want you to be able to focus on helping the less fortunate barbers that's in the communities that look up to you.
Yeah. An important part of this is also just the Legends Training and Development Center, right? And you've been talking about impact and empowerment and how important it is to not just create jobs, but also give people skills so that they may be able to start something. And now you're talking about, giving equipment and real resources as well. Why was it so important to build this impact and empowerment into the business and not necessarily make it like some people will start a MPO outside of the business and make it something that we're doing, whenever we have time or whatever it is. But this is integrated into the business.
Yes, no, definitely. And I'm looking at my experience, Mesh, and based on my experience, having to gone through the rejection where I was trying to learn to cut hair at the age of 14 years old, and trying to see how people used to chase me away and not having the practicality of how to actually do this. And the training center for me is such a vital vehicle within, not only within our business, but within the economy itself. You see, at the training center, we take boys and girls from the community and we show them, like, the saying that says that give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, but teach him to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. That is our thinking around the training center. But it's not only around the skill itself, because if you look at, we show them how to cut hair, we teach them how to cut hair, we show them the methods of cutting hair, and we take them through this process. Now, going down into the person themselves as to how are we able to disciple these people to be good men and women for society. And that's the reason why when you go into the training center and you go in the morning, you find that they're busy with Bible studies, they're busy with mentoring, they're busy with programs where you would think that it's all about just cutting hair, but it's about the person on the inside. And it's that person, if you're able to develop that person on the inside. Many of the people that come into our training center come from ill communities where there's gender-based violence, there's drugs, there's violence, there is theft. There's so much ills that's taking place within our communities. I mean, like, if you think about it, you growing up in this community and you're just looking for hope. Is there something different? Is there something different? So now getting into a space where we're able not only to teach you the skill, but able to rehabilitate you to be this person that says that there is hope and you can change your life. Because South Africa, with the unemployment rate that we're currently standing at, youth unemployment, the stats came out that 7 out of 10 youth are sitting at home. There is hope for them. And we need to be able to create that. And this is to all entrepreneurs out there. I mean, like, if you're able to build a business and make a difference in somebody else's life by teaching them and giving them a skill, helping them to actually be better human beings for the society, because that's exactly where they come from, you see, and that's where they're going to after work. And once we're able to foster this within South Africa's context, then we'll be able to understand, you know what, this country needs entrepreneurship. This country needs hope. And for us, by the little that we can do, yes, that for me keeps me going on a daily basis. That for me wakes me up in the morning. That for me is my encouragement to say that we are doing something good. You know, how encouraging is it? So, for example, 2 weeks ago, I was at a training center and basically we had a graduation. So we had a graduation for for all the trainers that completed the program. And there was this one particular kid came up to me, cried, said, Sheldon, you don't understand what this means to me.
Mm.
You don't understand how this impacted my life. You see, I was on the verge of suicide because I didn't see anything happen for me. The fact that the training center opened their doors for me, I was able to actually see something on the other side. That left me saying that even if it's that one person that we impacted, that's all.
Sure. From just cutting hair in your neighborhood to Entrepreneur of the Year last year. Congratulations,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Thank you.
Your journey is just full of incredible lessons, man.
Thank you.
Really meaningful and important lessons, and we can all learn from it. What are the core principles that you've kept from that very beginning up until now?
The very principles is been rooted in faith. You see, many of the times we think that all of these things that we see from the 70 odd stores, 800 employees, products is doing well. You look at all of these things and you then decide to praise yourself and accolade yourself and say, you know what, I have done it. I have done this. But if you understand that every good and perfect gift comes from above, and it's not by your own doing that these things happen. There has to be some greater power that's working behind the scenes right now, that's orchestrating your steps, because you only have 24 hours in a day. And if you acknowledge Him in whatever you do, and He's directing your paths, He's telling you what to do, who to call, where to go, He's telling you each and everything to orchestrate your destiny. And it reminds me that it's just constantly being rooted in faith. Because this journey without faith is a journey that is going to be self-actualization, and it's all about self. But I believe that I am because God. I am because God has worked in me. I am because God has actually prepared this for me. And I purely believe that we all have callings. And like I said in the beginning, that everyone has a calling, and your calling might not be the same as mine. The calling might not be the same as the person on the other side. You understand that God is the one that gives seeds to the sower. He's the one that puts air in your lungs so you can face another day. He's the one that makes all of this possible. And I am humbled by the fact that I am just a servant and I'm just serving His people.
Yeah. I really appreciate this. This conversation has been really amazing, and I hope someone else is touched by it and learns from it. We always end with this one question. What is one thing that you know now that you wish you knew at the beginning of your journey?
Yes. One thing that I knew now that I knew at the beginning of my journey is that, and it goes back to being rooted in faith, that I wish I knew how important faith ties in with your business. I wish that I knew how important God is part and parcel of what you do on a daily basis. I wish I knew that what I'm doing back then wasn't just a mere just crunching numbers, making sure that the books balance, making sure that I reach a profit, but making an impact through the hands that God has actually given me. And this for me is that realization where you like, you know what, if this is it. And I know that I'm on the right path. And whatever God has in store for me, whatever He has predestined for what we envision, because we know that in all His works and all these things that He does, that He's just working it all out for our good. And I think that many entrepreneurs feel lost upon this journey, and they feel stuck because of the fact that you run in the race on your own. You run in the race by yourself. You run in the race, and I'm talking about people, but I'm saying like you run in the race and you feel like, it's me doing this 1, 2, 3. But I'm reminded of there's this illustration that shows that when this guy was busy walking on the seashore, and as he was busy walking, and basically he became tired, and basically he was walking with God, and there was 4 footsteps, and while he was walking, and he got tired, and he only saw 2 footsteps, and then he asked God, "Where are you during this time?" God says, "I've been carrying you all along this journey." And that is grace. That is knowing that it's unmerited favor. We are just here through His grace.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.